I'm going to give you an intuitive tool today that you're going to love, absolutely love. Doesn't matter what level of intuition you have right now, if you're just starting out or if you're, very advanced, although if you're very advanced, I think you might already, be aware of this tip. But no matter where you are in your journey, I want to talk about defocusing. I want to talk about the benefits of it, and I want to talk about why it works so well. So let's get started. When it comes to looking for intuitive information, we tend to forget that what we're looking for is not in the material world. And when we shift our focus from the material world to what we could call the in-between or the spaces in between, that's when we start to see, feel, and hear intuitive information. Now, the best example of this, and this is one that's very popular, is when you see something out of the corner of your eye. So something goes right by you. And almost everyone I know has had this happen to them before. See something out of the corner of their eye, they turn and look, and they can't see anything. Where did it go? It's gone. The reason why that happens is the best example of how defocusing works. When you see something out of the corner of your eye, spiritual activity, it's in your peripheral. Your peripheral is defocused. So that's why you were able to see it. When you turned to look, you started to search. You started to look at the door and the wall and the table, and you were searching through the material objects in front of you, like landing on them, focusing on them. Now, I've got a great way to explain this, why it works, and maybe even a couple of techniques we could go over on, how you can do this yourself. But I'll tell you, really strong readers that have been doing this for a very long time, you'll notice that they kind of disconnect. We call it disconnecting from the agreed upon reality. They sort of, just gaze. I don't care if it's crystal ball. I don't care what it is, but they gaze. When I read, this is typically what you would see. You'd sit down with me, and when I would go to get intuitive information, I typically look down and then just let my eyes defocus. And then that's when my five senses can tap into the energy that's around me and to what's going on. So really good readers that have been doing it for a long time, typically have their version of, kind of detaching from the solid, detaching from the material world, detaching from this agreed upon reality in order to connect more with, that spiritual space in between. I mean, very famous readers that are out there go into trance state. And what is trance state? It's separating yourself from the agreed upon reality, letting the world fall away. Defocusing. That's the key, defocusing. So when you catch something out of the corner of your eye, you did catch something. It was in your defocused area. And when you turn and focused, you couldn't see anything. So let's think about it this way. If everything is made up of molecules, there is space in between molecules. There's actually more space in between molecules than there are molecules. So think of, just sort of a diagram of molecules and the space in between. It's the spaces in between that we're looking for information. That's where the information resides. A spirit doesn't have a physical body. It's not carrying around a bunch of molecules, okay? It's residing in that space in between. In essence, think of it as, the space is like just a large bowl of water, okay? And, throw some grapes in there, and the grapes are the molecules. Eventually, throw enough grapes in there, they're going to create a form or a structure, a table, a television, a camera, something. But there's always going to be space in between the grapes. There's always going to be that liquid in there. And it's in that space, that's where the spiritual activity and information is that we are looking to connect with. So if we take that extra step of just allowing ourselves to our gaze to defocus, what we're doing is we are pulling back from our physical eyes, focusing on a physical object. We're pulling back from looking at the molecules, and instead we're allowing ourselves to just gaze into the space in between the molecules. That's where all the good stuff is. That's what we're looking for. I mean, intuition isn't solid. It's not, It's not like a solid object that comes in and says, oh, look, I'm giving you a piece of information. The molecules create the solid objects. We're looking for that which is in between. We're looking to read the energy. We're looking to read universe, source, connect with guides, loved ones, and none of them are running around in a physical body with a bunch of molecules. So this one simple act of defocusing can take you a long, long way when it comes to intuition. It can really ramp up your success rate in getting intuitive information and accessing that kind of intuitive source. Because when you change your focus, when you change your intent, it opens doors. It really does. It says, oh, I can see more, I can feel more, I can hear more. You have to submerge yourself in the space where you're trying to get the information and let go of the space that is not holding the information. Let go of the molecules, focus on the space in between. I hope that makes sense. When it comes to defocusing, there's a lot of ways to do this. You can use, it sounds corny, but you can use a crystal ball. There are some readers that's what the crystal ball is. It's not for show. It's not, and I know it's some people joke about it here and there, but in essence, it is a tool to allow your eyes to defocus, allow yourself to relax, allow everything else to fall away. Same with a very old technique called scrying. If you're not familiar with it, go ahead, look that up. That's a really fantastic technique. And we can do this in a lot of different ways. So scrying, in essence, is looking into a black shiny surface, at which allows you to defocus. And when you defocus, you start to see images. We can stare at a carpet, and let your gaze just fall away. You've all heard about those, paintings and those pictures that when you stop focusing on them, an object actually appears. That's kind of the experience that I'm talking about. Funny story. One of my students, I love her so much. She's so cool. And she said, I got to tell you something, but it's going to sound strange. I said, oh, go ahead. And she was a newer student, she hadn't trained with me very long. And she said, I work at this office, complex. This was years ago. And she said, every time I go to the bathroom, things show up on the bathroom door. Like I'm using the restroom and things show up on the bathroom door. And I said, any chance it's like metal or a shiny surface or something? She's like, yeah. And I'm starting to see things in the door. And I said, that's in essence scrying. You know what I mean? And we joked and we laughed. And she says, yeah, I really got to curb this because my bathroom breaks can't be 20 minutes long, but once stuff starts showing up, you get fascinated and you're like, you want to keep looking. That's what I mean. So whether you use stare into a candle, the flame of a candle, or a crystal of some sort, you can stare into a crystal and just sort of allow your gaze, whatever it takes for you to soften that gaze and to just let the world fall away. That's what I want you to do. It's going to ramp up your intuition. It's going to allow your intuitive channel to work with your nervous system to deliver more messages through sight, through sound, through touch, through all of that is going to start to open up more with this very, very simple step. And it's called defocusing. Instead of focusing on the solid world, focus on that which you're trying to connect with. And to do that, you need to defocus. Try that out for a little bit. See if you're able to get more messages, more sensations, more feelings, and play around with it. You never know what form of defocusing works best for you. Could be looking at a dark colored wall or a light colored wall, or a wall with a floral print. You don't know. Something's going to work really well. For my student, it was the back of a bathroom stall door. For some people, I know it's water. For me, it's typically, I just aim for the floor, pull my gaze up about 2 feet above the floor, and I just kind of hold still and focus in that way. But this tip, it's a good one. Give it a try. And let me know how it works in the comment section.